Hey there guys, how's it going? This is a interesting video. This is me wanting to actually talk about things. More specifically, something that I'm considering, or well, something I consider myself to be. This is going to sound a bit big-headed, but just let me explain. I feel like I am a secret or maybe silent hero. And I'm sure there is plenty of other people out in the world who are like it, and I want to make sure that people are recognised or that people are doing a good job for if they are one of these people. And what do I mean by a secret or silent hero? Basically, I have done quite recently a few sort of good deeds, but they were so when I was on my own, and obviously I've told people about it to some degree, but it doesn't necessarily get recognised. And that's what I think people do when they are this kind of thing. And they don't necessarily go out to be recognised, they just do it anyway. For example, there's two things that I've done recently. There's a third thing that I remember off the top of my head that I'd done several years ago. Let's go backwards in time. So, the most recent thing I did was I was coming back from down the pub with my uncle, and I walked past this couple crossing the road, thinking they're a bit meh. They seem a bit odd. There's a group of others sort of down the road a bit, so I walk past, and then this nipper shouts out saying, "Can you give me a hand to..." Well, I didn't quite realise they were friends. They were a group all together, but that was his friends. So I was kind of watching because I felt it was a bit odd, so I went back and thought, sorry, I didn't realise you actually were kind of in need. Them noticing that this young lady of his is kind of quite drunk. And so is a couple of others of their group. And these are people that shouldn't be drunk. These are people that are underage, but that's not the problem. That's not the point. Basically, the main group, or the other group, goes and catches a bus just down the road, off to one town, and this nipper is trying to take his girlfriend up to the bus station to get a different bus. But she can't walk herself in a straight line. She keeps falling over, etc., and other things and stuff. Basically, I offer either I can give you a lift into your hometown, or home, or I can give you a hand getting her up to the bus station. And he's saying, no, I'm fine, and then when everyone else is gone, and he's like, okay, I do kind of need a hand to get her up the road, otherwise we're going to miss the bus. So I'm like, sure, I'll give you a hand. So start helping her along, trying to drag her up and keeping her steady, etc., all these things. And we eventually get most of the way to the bus station until he's close enough that he's like, okay, I'll be good from here, you can get going, etc. So I'm like, okay, if you're sure. I go home, actually pick up my car, drive back to the bus station to make sure that they get on the bus, or allowed on the bus, and get there just as they are getting on. I'm like, okay, they're good. And he sees me through the window and he's like, I'm all good, mate. And I'm like, awesome. And I go back home. And I felt good about myself for doing it. Another time, not that long ago, a couple of months maybe, at most, I am coming back from one of the events that I do from working. It's late on a Sunday night. I just get off the train on the island, which is just down the road from where I park my car, which is at a friend's house. And I start to go up the steps off the train station, effectively up to the road, and there's this young lady sat on the steps crying her eyes out. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm fine, mate, etc. I keep trying, and she's still like, it's fine. So I'm like, okay, I'll leave you to it. So I walk back to my car, and then I'm thinking, I knock on the window and say hi to the people that are my friends, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go and go a gentleman's duty sort of thing. I get in my car, I effectively have to drive back the same way, so as I drive back, I pull into the station and park up and think to myself, is she still there? I will insist to help. she's still there, so I get out the car, I walk over to her and say, I told myself if you were still here, I would insist on helping, so what can I do? And she still says she's alright, etc., etc., and I'm just like, she's still crying her eyes out. I'm like, do you need a hug or anything? What's the problem? Is it a guy by any chance? It most likely is, and yeah, it is. And she's crying even more, etc. And I sit next to her, I put my arm around her, etc., and keep her company. And I'm like, how are you getting home, etc.? Or what's your plan? Something. And she's like, my dad's on his way. So I'm like, okay, do you mind if I sit with you until then? And she's like, yeah. And I do that. Her dad turns up and she says, come meet my dad. I'm like, really? I've only just met you tonight and you're introducing me to your dad already? Just a light joke sort of thing. Makes her a bit happier, and go over to her dad, and her dad gives me not the usual sort of handshake like that, the handshake like that sort of thing, if you know what I mean, which people say is a bit more respectful, so I'm glad he appreciated just me keeping her company until he arrived, sort of thing. And I literally only know her name and what town she lives in, and that's it. I don't know anything else about her, other than obviously what she looks like. So, I haven't seen her again since. I haven't seen the other two since, but then that's not really that long ago. Yeah, things happen. And the thing that happened several years ago, I can't remember how many years ago, but probably quite a few years ago, was that I was at the bus station waiting to go to my partner's at the time, and there's a group of kids, youngish kids, sort of messing around in one of the other stations, winding one of the bus drivers up. He snaps and gets out of his bus and starts choking one of the nippers, and nobody else moves. There's a group of us all on my bus stand. There's a group of people. Nobody else does a thing. Obviously, his group of friends are shouting, screaming, and telling him to get off. And I'm just like, that's too much. I just casually walk over and just sort of, I can't remember what I did exactly, but I think he might have stopped by the time I got there. But I just went over and made a presence, and I'm just like, "You're right, Nipper," and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the police turn up because I think one of his friends called them, and things happen, etc. Talking happens and stuff, and they say, "Do you want to make a complaint or something?" I'm going white, etc. And I go and make a statement down the station. I don't know whether the nipper actually ever did anything, but because he didn't go straight away, I obviously missed my bus. They're regular enough, but I missed the bus that I was intending to get. Everyone else just went and got on it and didn't do a thing. So, but I went down the station, and then they gave me a lift back to where I wanted to go. Can I be focused on? Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, that's. Sorry, I can't get the white balance right now. So, that's the three main things that I consider I've been a secret or silent hero for, because I wasn't necessarily recognised in any big way. I've told some friends about it, etc., and that's it. No, I wasn't. Nobody really saw anything much else at the time. No one I knew was present to see, etc. And obviously, I do other small things similar like that. Like I've seen an oldish gentleman fall, and I go over and make sure he's okay, help him up, sort of thing, or similar things like that. Or I see work colleagues run out of a party crying, and I chase after them, make sure they're okay, and I do that. I've done that at when I've gone to events like Insomnia. I've had a friend that's gone running out of a thing because of something happened, just to make sure they're okay. Simple things like that. You don't realise necessarily how much of a impact you're making on people, but I reckon you are. I'm sure I've made an impact on all those people, and some of them are good friends because of it, sort of thing. Obviously, because of the Insomnia event, I'm quite good friends with that person still. Yeah, you don't realise that, and I'm sure people do that so much more, and they just don't really feel like they're recognised. And I'm just going to say now that I recognise you. I don't know who you are, but I recognise you, and I know you're doing a good job. I don't know what influences people to do that, I'd say it's maybe because of my scouting background, but I just feel like it's how I am in general. And I feel maybe there should be some more way of being recognised, but I don't know how you can be, because obviously if you're doing it just obviously there's another way of doing things, like social media, online social media, when people post things or say things like things are going bad, they've posted something that they're going bad, and then like, or you post something on bad on your like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, there's TikTok that I'm part of that I see quite often, things like that, and obviously all these people will post comments and things and saying like, "Oh, you're okay," etc. And they're all trying to help. Obviously, they don't know how. No one knows how to necessarily help, because if you're not actually, when it comes to things like Instagram or Twitter followers that aren't people you know, obviously Facebook you know the people, so it's a little bit different. But like followers that don't know you personally, they're obviously trying to help, but they may not know how, because they don't know you personally, they don't know necessarily all the situations, etc. I'm one of those people. I literally will. I try and think of something to say. I obviously try and make it different, because I know the generic thing of like, "Oh, I'm here for you," etc., etc. It's all well and good, but it's not necessarily the thing they need. It's like, well, like, I understand you, etc. It's like you don't necessarily know. So what I try and say is like, I don't know what you're going through properly. I may have had a similar experience or something. If I can do anything I can to help, I will. But otherwise, I hope things get better for you or something like that. I try and be a bit more meaningful. Why am I tearing up? I don't understand. I try and be a bit more meaningful, and yeah, I've done it several times. I message people privately, and obviously, you don't always necessarily get a response. Sometimes you'll get like, "Oh, it's all fine," and you're like, "Well, why did you post it anyway?" But then it's maybe how I feel, what I've done when I've posted something like it myself. There's certain people that I'm hoping will respond to me, in, and I'm sure that's how most people think. Is that they'll post it and they're hoping certain people will reply, and I know I've done it, and I'm sure I've blown off people before, but I've kind of tried to change how I am about it, in that whoever responds to me, I will actually be grateful and try and explain what I'm feeling to them, because they are trying to help. They want to help. Otherwise, they wouldn't have messaged. So, really, they are helping just by messaging. Because usually it's just when you're posting something like that, you just want some kind of attention. And you're getting attention, but usually you're really wanting it from a certain person or a certain group of people or something like that. Just accept the attention from who actually gives it to you, because the people who actually give it to you do actually care. And that might be harsh in that the people who don't message you, the people that you want to message you, don't necessarily care, but then you never know. They might care, they might just not know how to. It's just accept that what you get. And I know the other thing I wanted to say is that I know I wanted to actually be grateful for the people that I believe are also secret or silent heroes in my life. So there are my two best mates who have stood by me through a hellish time of my life, I would say, which I thought I was completely over with, but there are some things that are currently still kind of coming back about it, but it's not necessarily as bad as it should be. But they've been there for me through it and supported me the best I can, and I'm hoping I'm doing the best I can in return to them through their own situations, etc. Uh, there's plenty of other group of friends that have been there for me through other things, and I'm trying my best to actually be as good as I can back to them. Like several groups of my friends, like the main group of people that I play games with, or yeah, I'm terrible at keeping contact with people outside of my local area, my local group. But the people I go to see at Insomnia, mostly, obviously majority of them, I pretty much was the only person from the island that goes up to it. But majority of them, I am friends. I want to be there for them. I'm just terrible at staying in contact outside of Insomnia. But if they were to call on me and say, hey, I could do with someone to talk to, sort of thing, I would be there for them. And I hope if they're watching this, they know that now. Other people that are in my life that I secret heroes, secret silent heroes. My dad, my mum, they're obviously always here for me. My mum helps me through sorting out a load of paperwork and stuff with things. She got me sorted on that front and things, and yeah, she does everything she can. Same with my dad. I mean, quite recently I was off work ill with a lost voice mostly, and just feeling absolutely exhausted because I'd done 2 weekends on the trot doing tabletop events, caught a cold on the first one, and then subsequently lost my voice at the second one. I was just exhausted because of it, lost my voice, phoned up work and they couldn't recognise me, sort of thing. So I was off work that Monday, and I just asked my dad, could you grab me a couple of bits of shopping I could deal with, and obviously he did. So I know I can. It's like I know my parents will be there for me. Another one is my granddad. He is just, I see him once a week as much as I can for a curry, and I just know he's there for me. He'll do whatever he can for me. Why am I getting emotional? This isn't supposed to have gotten this emotional. Why am I wasn't expecting to get quite teary. But yeah, my granddad means everything to me. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what else. Don't know what else I'm saying. Those are the people that I want to appreciate. Like my best mates, my group of friends, my parents, my granddad. I'm sure there's other people around as well. I can't. I appreciate you. I do, honestly. I just can't think quite what else to say about it. Or yeah. So basically, I wanted to say, if you do these kind of things, if you are a supportive parent, if you are a person who will help strangers out by doing random things like helping them get their drunk girlfriends to the bus station, keeping someone company while they're waiting for their dad after a problem with their boyfriend, sort of thing, making sure they're okay after they just got choked by a bus driver, just messaging someone at random, even if it's a stranger, because you've seen that they're having a bad day or something. If you do any of these kind of things, just know that you are effectively what I would call a secret or silent hero. You are amazing. You do amazing things, and even if you don't do those things, you are still amazing. Just what I want to say is, if you don't do those things, recognize if you see people who do it. tell them that they are a secret or silent hero, as I would like to call them. Tell them they're doing a great job. Make them feel recognised. Because otherwise they may not necessarily feel like they're doing it for a reason, so they may stop. And you don't want them to stop because they make the world a better place. And I don't necessarily mean I'm making the world a better place, but I would like to think I am. I'm trying. But yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about. It's been interesting to just get it out there. I hope you agree. If you agree on this sort of thing, or think anything along this makes any sense, please leave this video a like. Leave your comments down below of what sort of heroic things you've done, like secret or silent hero things that you've done. It would be very interesting to know. And yeah, I shall see you in another video. Bye guys.